What's going on, good people? Welcome to welcome to a live edition of Marriage Matters. This is a podcast where we talk about marriage matters because
Marriage matters.
that's right. So if you're watching this for the very first time, my name is Glenn Coleman, and I am joined, as always, by this beautiful, intelligent woman sitting next to me,
Hi,
whose name
everyone.
is. I'm gonna
Hi,
cut her off.
everyone. I'm Tanya Coleman.
All right. That's all you got to say to the people?
That's all I have to say right now. We're just getting in
We
here.
just getting in. All right. So, as they say in the church, as you know, where I grew up, we're not gonna be before you long. Amen.
Amen.
I know
Amen.
everybody is getting teed up for the Oscars. That starts in a few minutes.
Yeah,
Hopefully,
7
there
o'clock.
won't be any physical uh, contact
Contact.
of the unwanted kind.
Right. Of the unhealthy kind. Yes.
Would you say that? So so we just want to thank you guys for joining us. And we're gonna just jump right into tonight's topic. So I wanted to talk about how different are we? Question mark.
Question mark.
You know, one of the things I'll start with this, and hopefully I don't get it wrong. I've been saying this for the last couple of podcasts, and it's our good friend Tim Ross.
Mm-hmm.
He says that what you know about a person when you're
Mm-hmm.
dating a person gets you to the altar,
Mm-hmm.
but you're saying I do to you're saying I do to what you don't know.
Yeah.
You're
Mm-hmm.
saying I do to what you don't know. That's
Mm-hmm.
what you're saying because you don't know what's going to happen after that moment.
Sure.
You have an idea.
Right.
I mean, I can honestly say the way there's a lot of things that I thought our life was going to be that it's not today,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. For sure.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying that to say that there's a lot of things that I've discovered about myself and about you
Mm-hmm.
along the way. And sometimes I have to remind myself, and most people may not know this about us, but how different we are.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead.
No, I was gonna say which is um it's refreshing
Hmm.
really because early on in our marriage as a young wife or a young couple, I think we were trying to have more likes or more things, you know what I'm saying, try to
For
fit
sure.
in and be more like one another
Yeah.
than what we may have truly
Or I
been.
would say we try to fit into the expectations that we thought were expectations for us as a
Right.
young married couple in ministry in the church,
Right, right,
leaders in
right.
the church, and
And
all
what
that kind
that
of
was
thing, and what
supposed
that
to
was
look
supposed to
like
look
at
like.
that time.
Yeah.
Hey, Mama. Hey, Keisha. I'm glad you got us live, Keisha Payne.
Hey, actually, Keisha Payne, we need to have you and Nate on the podcast.
Absolutely.
So let us know when you guys want to come on, and you don't. We could even do it, over, with StreamYard or something like that. You guys don't have to actually physically come out here,
Hmm.
but if you want to make the drive to the north up here in the Bluff, we would love to have you guys. But anyway, so yeah, um,
Yeah, so I think you're right. Just trying to fit in to those expectations that we thought were necessary to be married at the time.
hmm
Yeah,
yeah.
and I know for sure we have definitely evolved from those two individuals. And yeah, so what are you about to say?
So I was gonna say, there was an incident that happened last night,
Mm-hmm.
and I made a joke, which a lot of people may not know this about me, but I'm not a very serious person,
Mm-hmm.
even though I may seem like, I guess maybe the word is stoic. It's just that I'm a very, and again, people don't know this about me, but I'm a very introverted person,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't say a lot
Mm-hmm.
until it's time for me to say a lot.
Right.
So there'll be times where I won't say much,
Mm-hmm.
and I may come across as, I've had people that in the past told me they thought I was, especially young, when I was younger, they thought, oh,
Mm-hmm.
we thought you were stuck up or whatever. It's like, why would you think I'm stuck up? It's like, you never say nothing to nobody. I'm like, well, I don't have nothing to say.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
but anyway, I'm pretty. I don't take a lot of things serious,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe I have to work that out in therapy. I think sometimes it's a defense mechanism that
Mhm.
for me when things are when because I'm not a very confrontational person.
Mhm.
So when I start to feel confrontation,
Mhm.
the way I diffuse that is through humor.
Yeah.
And sometimes people don't appreciate that. Sometimes you don't appreciate
Sometimes
that.
I do not appreciate that.
Uh, so, but anyway, there was something that I said last night, and I was making a joke,
Mhm.
and you immediately was like, you remember what I was saying? It was
I
the dog food thing,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
and you said I forgot what you
I
said.
responded it was some I forget what it was. Oh, about you tasting the dog food
Yeah,
because I was talking about the dog's new treats or something, and I'm like, no, you don't,
yeah,
because certain things just like gross me out, and
and you
you cross that boundary in
and
that
me and
moment.
Bethany both were like, "Mom, it was a joke." Oh, she was like, "Mom, it was a joke,"
Mhm.
and I was like, "Yeah, I was just joking. I wasn't really tasting the dog food. It was,
Mhm.
But that just reminded me of how a lot of times, you are way more, I guess, serious. I guess would be the word. It would
Mhm.
be you're more, and I'm more of the. I don't take a lot of things serious. A lot of times I'd probably crack a joke when I
When
shouldn't.
you shouldn't.
How do you think that's affected our relationship?
You know what, honestly, and I know sometimes I have those strong responses. That was like a really small thing, and sometimes it may be on a bigger scale. But you have actually taught me how not to take life so seriously and how not to take things so seriously, and have helped me to relax more. And you actually are probably the only person besides our kids who actually pull out the very silly side of me,
Mm-hmm.
and I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
There are moments where I'm just like, yeah, I'm not in the joking mood, or this is not something to joke about, and so I may be just a little bit more stern, or my response is a little stronger in those moments. But I do appreciate that difference about us, because I am more serious by, I don't know if it's by nature or it's just out of my own coping mechanism from my own experiences in life.
Well, I think some of it that has to do with, we've always said we are going to do a podcast on this, but we
Mm-hmm.
never done it. But we need to do it. But it's birth order.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Because you're the oldest, you
Mm-hmm.
are always more like the mom
Mm-hmm.
uh, in relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think that kind of you kind of that kind of
Mm-hmm.
blankets your life,
Thank you, Keisha.
uh, and it's and you were in education, so you were a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So is a lot of things that goes into that.
Right.
And so I think for me, I'm a middle child.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have to be, even though my sister is like was much older
Mm-hmm.
than Lynn and I.
Mm-hmm.
And when she was there, she was definitely the second mom. And she
Sure.
still thinks she's the second mom. I have to remind her, look, I'm a grown man. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I think that has something to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, us having the the different birth order and
Mm-hmm.
how we were raised and where we were and what our responsibilities were growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have a phenomenal mother, which she's on there, Lena Mae Coleman Alfred, or Lena Mae Alfred Coleman, however she want. I don't know how she saying it, but anyway, and she really she allowed us, she gave us the opportunity to really be kids
Yeah. Sure.
growing up. We
Sure.
didn't have to when it came to like chore. I mean, we had chores, but you know what I'm saying.
Right.
We didn't have to take on adult responsibility.
Sure.
And I had a two-parent home.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of we didn't have a lot of pressure. But I know for you growing up, you did.
Right.
So I
It
think
was
some
a
of that plays into.
Absolutely. I think I was, I definitely had a lot of adult responsibility really early on in life. And that played into my very seriousness, in the way that I have managed my life. Um, it wasn't a lot of fun, and I mean, I had fun, believe me, but it wasn't a lot of that. Life was a totally different experience for me than it was for you, and I think that definitely has shaped who I have become as a woman, as a wife, as a mom. You know, and I think that shows up even in the way that we raise the kids. Like I may be really strong, my response in some areas, and my conversations with them may come across a lot stronger. And even sometimes they feel like I'm fussing when I'm not fussing. I'm just getting across. I'm just getting across. I'm trying to get across a point of the importance of certain things in life as young women, right? As
Mm-hmm.
young Christian women, as young Black women, as just young women,
Mm-hmm.
period. Because we got one that's about to walk out into college, the world, so to speak, in 5 minutes, and then another one who's like, a month behind her. And I'm exaggerating, but Bethany's going to college next fall. A couple of years later, Bailey's going to be going to college. So there are conversations and the seriousness of those conversations that I try to get across to them. And that could be my own trauma response from my own experiences. And I will own that, but that's just the way I'm I'm made.
Yeah. And so I,
And I'm processing my trauma. Like, don't think the therapist's not in therapy.
yeah, for sure. But I guess for me, in talking about how different we are, you know, first of all, I would say, and this is something else that you and I say all the time,
Hmm.
is that the goal of marriage is not to think alike, but to
But to
think
think
together.
together. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
to understand that I am not my spouse,
Hmm.
and she thinks different than I do. She believes a lot of things different than I
Hmm.
do. Um, and here's a part about that. That's okay. And just because we don't see eye to eye on situations or circumstances,
Hmm.
that's okay. It's expected. And we talk to so many couples that when they have a disagreement, they think it's the end of the world. It's not the end
Hmm.
of the world. It's just that
Hmm.
you're two different people. And again, we harp so much on the two becoming one, and I say harp, not like that's a bad thing, but
Hmm.
we talk about the two becoming one, but I always say this, that in the two becoming one, we have to remember that it's two,
It's two. Yeah.
and that it's two becoming one. That doesn't happen. I think you said it best. You said basically you were saying something like it spiritually it happens on the day you get married,
Right.
but in physically, so your spirits become one the day you are married, but
Hmm.
your flesh and your soul, that's a
That's a
lifetime
lifetime journey.
of learning each other.
Hmm.
And even more today, especially since I feel like we're really, after 21 years of marriage,
Hmm.
we've really grown into more of who we are as an individual,
Sure. Absolutely.
which makes us becoming one. I'm going to use the word difficult just because I can't think of another word.
Hmm.
It makes it that much more difficult because you would think that after 21 years it'd be easier.
Hmm.
But for us, I think it's been more difficult because early on, I really don't even think, and this was probably most people,
Hmm.
you don't even know who you are,
Right. Hmm.
right? So we got married really well. I was really young when we got married. She was older. Um, see, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have cracked that joke.
Keep going. I'm gonna let you live today. Go ahead.
But we were both really young. We were both really young when we got married, and um, which is, I think that's a good thing, depending on who you are.
Hmm.
But because we were so young, we really hadn't formed, and we were not set in our ways.
Right.
So it did give us the opportunity to grow. But again, like I said, we can't. Marriage is not set it and forget it.
Right. Hmm.
So as we're finding out and discovering more of who we are,
Hmm.
that's causing us to also make adjustments in our marriage relationship.
Hmm.
And so I often have to remind myself that the way you are, that's not a a a diss
Hmm.
or a jab at me,
Hmm.
and so I have to remind myself that in the way I interact with you, and we have to work with each other on that
Right.
because there are so many times like this morning we had the thing where you were cooking and you
Mm-hmm.
were asking me if I was going to come and you know sit in the living room or be in the living room with you and because you were cooking and I was like, well, no, I had planned on being
Mm-hmm.
in I was going to go back to the
You're
bedroom.
gonna isolate yourself.
I was going to isolate myself. Thank you for saying it, because that's who I am. I
Mm-hmm.
am, like I said, I like to be by myself watching it's funny, we were just watching a podcast
Mm-hmm.
with someone else talking
Mm-hmm.
about that. I'm like, I identify so much with that.
Mm-hmm.
But when you like, well, whatever, and I smiled because what I was thinking was, oh, she really wants me to come hang out with her.
Mm-hmm.
But when I smiled and giggled, you took it as,
As you didn't want to be hanging out with me and you wanted to be in the room by yourself, and oh Lord, why she want me to come sit in the living room when I want to sit in the room and watch my shows because I know she don't want to watch the same shows that I'm watching. All of that went through my mind.
exactly. So I instead of me, I almost responded like, "Look, woman," but I was like, no. I was like, babe, because I already knew when I laughed and you had that response. I already knew that whole thought. And see, that's what learning each other it really
Listen,
is. Because I already knew that whole process. I was like, I already knew what she just thought. She thought I was laughing because I really don't want to spend time with her, and I just want to be by myself. But I had to explain to you. I was like, the reason why I was smiling was what I was thinking was, oh, how cute. She really wants me to come spend time with her.
oh, you
And
think I'm
even
cute? Okay.
and even though it's like you cooking, you're
We
not
have
gonna
an
be spending time
open
in
floor plan in our home. We can be in two rooms at one time.
right. But so again, for me, what does spending time for me look like?
It looks like sitting and watching a movie or doing something else, not
Right.
right.
So I'm like, why do I even need to be in there? You're not gonna be with me. You cooking. But for you, spending time together was I just want to be in the
In the same
vicinity.
space.
We don't have to be
Yes.
talking. You could be watching TV, but I just want to be.
What I think is funny right now is that this sounds like we are in high school. Like I just want to breathe the same air as you. But I think that that is also it's good in that we still have those feelings about one another.
Yeah,
Like literally, you still give me butterflies. Literally.
yeah. It's like I know we sing that song that's about the Lord, but it's like I just want to be where you
Right.
are.
Correct. Correct.
So yeah. So those are the things in your relationships that like I said, it's not freaking out when you find out how different you are.
Mm-hmm.
And of
Mm-hmm.
course, the old saying, what opposites attract, right?
Mm-hmm. For sure.
I'm not that narcissistic where I want to be married to myself.
Amen, bro.
You
Because I don't
know,
want to be married to me either.
you know, and truth be told, if you were married to yourself, you probably wouldn't like yourself. You probably would be like,
Because
is this what people
this
gotta put up
female,
with?
and I don't know how many ladies we have in the chat. There's probably a few, but y'all give me an amen. The female brain is complicated,
Oh,
right?
I'll give you an
So
amen on that.
I couldn't be married to me. That's a different conversation. I won't make the next statement that was about to come out of my mouth, but I couldn't be married to me.
Well, go ahead, make the statement,
No, I
sister.
won't, because I won't.
Okay.
I'll tell you later.
All right. So yeah. So it's understanding that. I was just looking at some of the comments here. Some of these great comments. But yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Finish what you were saying.
But yeah, it is definitely I think blending personalities, and that's where that statement that I made about becoming one in the spirit at the altar, like when you say I do when you get married, that happens, but over time the becoming one because of personality differences, preferences, and all of those different things can make it a bit more challenging, but also,
Yeah, I'm glad Miss Danielle said that, challenging instead of difficult, maybe.
yes,
So yeah,
yes,
yeah,
challenging,
yeah,
but also how much more fun.
for sure.
How, because if we're spending a lifetime together, like, things shouldn't dull out. Things shouldn't like just be normal and predictable all of the time,
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
And we always say this, that we're all growing, right? We should all be growing and changing and developing individually. So if I am purpose in my heart to do that as an individual, and so are you, like, you actually have someone new all the time,
You
or
do.
in different seasons. And so it's just like, you really don't have to, you know go out, and this is off topic, but just came to my funny thought. You don't have to go outside of your marriage, or, be in other people's DMs, if you really invest your time and your effort into to developing your own marriage and
Hmm.
becoming one with your
For
spouse.
sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Because you can be a different person in September than who you are today. There are some things, some core values about you that are not changing, but you are still growing and changing and developing your own self.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
for
If that
sure.
makes sense. So,
Yeah, and that's what you should never. People say, "Well, I got tired of that relationship." Well, that tells me that you stopped growing.
right. You stopped investing.
You stop, yeah, and not
Hmm.
only in the relationship, but I'm saying in yourself.
That's true. Yeah,
You
absolutely.
stop
Hmm.
growing as an
Hmm.
individual, so that's why you feel stagnant in that relationship. And I mean, this we always talk about this, but I tell Tanya, like, look, girl, I got enough time, and I spend enough time
Hmm.
trying to figure you out. If I had another woman to try to figure out, I was like, I don't know, I couldn't do it.
Hmm.
I don't understand how people. It's like it's 21 years,
Right.
and I'm still trying to figure. I'm still learning you. I guess is
Correct.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so there we are, Tanya and I. We are different in so many ways. Like you mentioned a couple things, but like and correct me if I'm wrong, but there are. It's funny how some things I want to plan out from the beginning to the end,
Hmm.
but there's other things where I'm like, I don't want. I just whatever.
Hmm.
We let's just go with the flow.
Hmm.
But those same things, it could be like, I'm trying to think of a good example. So like, when it comes to uh, maybe like making a decision that's going to impact us financially.
Hmm.
I will research that for 3 months. And Tanya will be like, babe, we just need to make a decision. I'll be like,
Hmm.
give me 2 more months to research this. But when it comes to like vacations, we're the opposite.
Hmm.
She wants to plan and have every day we doing something. And I'm like, yo, I guess because I live my life that way,
Hmm.
on vacation, like I could just have a beachside hotel and go to the beach and just lay in a hammock every day and watch the sunset. That's you
And I
know,
want to see the sights and what the place has to offer.
so that's one way we're
Hmm.
different.
Hmm.
So again, we have to make allowances for each other
Hmm.
in those. And I don't like using the word compromise, because to me, compromise means
I,
somebody loses.
right,
Or but I think it's more of a it's becoming one. It's learning how to give you what you need, and let me and give and take what I need and give you what you need.
right.
Does that make
It's I
sense?
think it's making room for both
Yes.
both
Yes.
people, and what your preferences are, desires are, and what my preferences, desires, and needs are. I think we have to learn or as couples to make room for the other person,
Hmm.
right? And to be the full version of themselves.
Hmm.
I think oftentimes couples don't make room for their spouses to be the full versions of themselves because they want them this way.
Mm-hmm.
or you were this way when we met, so you need to be this way for the next 50 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
We
that's
don't allow
unfair.
for
We
we
don't
don't allow
allow
for
for
growth.
the
Yeah.
growth and the changes that should be happening as individuals,
Mm-hmm.
right? That, God never intended for us to be planted in the ground as a seed and nothing ever sprout up,
Yeah.
or for a little bit to sprout up and we don't become what we were actually intended to be.
Yeah. And and that's really great because, like, again, the example I used earlier, what happened, this morning about I wanting my personal time, and I want to be isolated and uh, by myself, because
Mm-hmm.
that's how I refuel,
Mm-hmm.
right? But you wanted me to be in the same room as you. Again, I think that's another area where we really learn how to give each other what we need.
Mm-hmm.
You allowing me to have my, I guess I could call it my me time.
Mm-hmm.
Where I can go and just watch or binge a Netflix show
Mm-hmm.
in the room by myself in the dark, uninterrupted.
Violence and blood and
All of that, and that even that, like the type of movies we
right.
we like. I'm a very um, I don't. Let me just say it this way: Tanya loves the what's the up Hallmark Channel, the cheesy.
Yeah, give me a good cheesy feel good, warm and
I
fuzzy.
do not like those movies at all. I'm like, that is not. But I have to do that with her,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I don't um I don't I'm not gonna expect her to watch every movie that I like, and there's been some things I'll tell you. I'll
Mm-hmm.
be like, I'm just gonna watch this by myself
Mm-hmm.
because you're not gonna like this.
Yeah, you do, and you do that often. Like, babe, you probably I'm gonna watch this later. I'll watch it by myself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not gonna like this.
I like this comment. Keisha said, and one big thing is to acknowledge the changes. For example, babe, thank you for coming to meet me, and I didn't have to ask. I appreciate that. I appreciate you. Absolutely. I
That
love
is
that.
so good too, because
Yeah.
learning your spouse and
Mm-hmm.
doing those things, because that's the other thing is, I always say this: if you want me to do something, ask and I will
Right.
do it.
Right.
But it's a whole nother level when you learn that. Like when I know you like gifts, so when I buy you something without you having to ask me to buy it, or like you said about the filling your gas tank up,
Mm-hmm.
you like it when I do that. So
Mm-hmm.
when I do that without you having to ask,
Mm-hmm.
that's really showing you that I'm learning you,
Right.
and I'm putting the effort, the time and effort
Right.
into giving you what you need, which inspires you to give me what I need, and
Absolutely.
it's kind of like it's
A cycle.
a cycle. Thank you. I can't think of my words tonight. A lot of times I can't think of my words.
It's all good.
Or
They
sometimes
there.
I read the words wrong, like I did last week. That was hilarious.
That was
Um,
funny.
so yeah, so like I said, we didn't want to keep you too long tonight. But thanks for all the comments.
Yeah,
Thanks for
absolutely.
the participation. We love it when you guys comment. And Keisha, I'm gonna hold you to. You said okie dokie, so I want to get with you. I'll send you a text or something to see when you and Nate can come on and give the wealth of marriage knowledge that you guys have obtained over the years. That
Yes.
you guys are another couple that I love to watch on social media. You guys are hilarious.
Hilarious and beautiful at the
I
same time.
never, if when I first met Nate, I didn't think he was that funny, but this dude is
Hmm.
hilarious, and I enjoy watching you guys. So,
Let me say hello to Miss Amber. Miss you too, girl. And Miss Danielle, thank you for joining. Love you too. Thank you
mhm.
for commenting and sharing with us. And Mama she is like the biggest number one supporter of Marriage Matters.
You know why she liked Marriage Matters so much?
Why?
I'm not gonna say it on
Uh
live.
oh.
I don't
Uh
want to. She
oh.
gonna be mad at me, but I've been prophesying some stuff in her life.
Oh yeah.
I've been prophesying some stuff. Shout out to Megan. That's our Growth Challenge family.
Okay. Hi
Megan,
Megan. I
yes,
missed some names,
yeah,
huh?
yeah. So yeah, if we missed your name, charge it to our head and not
Not to
to
our
our heart, as they
hearts.
say. So It's right at 7:01, so I know you guys are going to want to jump in and watch the Oscars. We pray that everything goes according to
Peace be
plan.
still.
So yeah, so that's all we got for you guys tonight.
She said you better not.
She know what's up. She know what's up. Yeah, so thank you guys for watching. And as always, this is Glenn and Tanya Coleman reminding you that
Your marriage
matters. We'll
matters.
see you guys next week.
Bye.